Hey, this is Brian,
And Shelby.
and you're listening to the Hyperspace.
Pod Blast. Aren't you a little short for a podcast?
Huh? Hey, everybody. Welcome back to that Hyperspace Pod Blast.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, who's this? Stranger danger.
Hi.
We have today with us a special guest, the brother from my very same mother, Matt.
How's it going, guys?
Pretty
And today, we're going to be talking about Star Wars collecting, something that Shelby and I don't know all that much about as I look around and see all the Star Wars stuff in my room, so that's kind of a lie. But our collecting is very random. Honestly, I think my most regular collection thing is probably the Smuggler's Bounty boxes that I have because Matt got them for me. So everything about my collecting is sort of tied into Matt's collecting. So, and then Shelby basically just gets whatever I give her.
Yeah, but about like all that Star Wars makeup and stuff.
Oh, yeah, huh?
That
Yeah.
was actually kind of fun to go and try and find those different colors and things.
Right. We're actually going to get into that kind of the off collecting stuff later. But to start out with here, Matt,
Yes.
what level collector would you say you are? Like hardcore, mediocre, slacker like us?
Like a level 90. Close to maxing out my character, but not quite.
True.
I would call myself a completionist, which kind of sucks for somebody who lives in a small space. 'Cause I have a lot of things. Like I bought Vesuvio, even though he's not in the movie.
Yeah, well, he's the most important character. We just don't know yet.
But he's always in our hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like to collect all of something, so I have like the whole set. So I have a lot of stuff.
Right on. And you actually, just for everyone else's information, he's not solely a Star Wars collector. He has a lot of stuff.
No, yeah, I collect a lot of other stuff like Final Fantasy and Marvel Comics characters, and list goes on and on.
Yeah, his house is like a rad toy store that you can't buy anything from.
Exactly.
Not for sale.
Right on. So what kind of, like you said, it being a completionist, it's kind of difficult in not only for having a small amount of space, but we're from sort of a small area with not a lot of access to purchasing. So
Right.
for other people that might be in the same boat, what kind of tips or habits or things do you do aside from stopping at every Toys R Us no matter where you are?
Right. which I do.
I know.
But for me, the whole fun with collecting is the hunt. You
Right.
know, so when a new wave of figures comes out, I could go onto a website and like Entertainment Earth or some website like that where you can just buy a full case. You can pre-order them and pay a little bit more than retail. Like most Black Series figures are $19.99. You're going to be paying like $22 to $25 a piece. But, you just wait, and then eventually it comes, and then you have them all. And I don't do that because I don't think it's very fun. So I always want to find in the store and for the cheapest I can get them also. One thing that I like to do is at Target, especially, if you go to the store and tell them what you're looking for, a lot of websites online, you can find the actual SKUs for the figures. And at Target, they can actually look it up and tell you if they have them in the back or not.
Oh yeah, right on. That's actually pretty good.
For like individual figures, not just like, do you have any Star Wars figures?
Yeah.
But they can tell you if they have, that 40th anniversary R2D2 in the back, and they'll go back there and get it for you. Whereas like Walmart and Toys R Us, a lot of their stuff is just, we have Black Series figures, and they have one, like they say they have a case back there, but they don't necessarily know where it is or what's inside of it. So that's good for Target. And then at GameStop as well, they have an app, at least for the iPhone, where you can actually search for anything and you can look at different stores and it'll tell you if they have them in stock. And if they do have it in stock, you can actually have them hold it for that day.
Yeah, I think they have the same thing for video games. I feel like I've done that before when I failed to pre-order something and I'm like, oh, I want to play this.
Right.
Works sort of the same way.
So whenever you say finish your series, do you ever get kind of down? It's like, oh, well, I got them all. Wah, wah.
Not really. There's usually another one coming out very soon. Like I just finished my set of the 40th anniversary Black Series figures, the 6-inch scale, and I just saw on Instagram today that somebody already found the next wave that's supposed to come out in June, already hitting stores. So
Yeah, that's
There's all-
crazy how people get their wires crossed and stuff gets out so early. I mean, I've worked in retail before. I know, especially video games, sometimes they're in the back 2 to 3 weeks before release date, and you get somebody that isn't really into the product or whatever, and they see a box of stuff. If they're not paying attention, they just open it and put it on the shelf because that's their job,
Right.
And with video games, it's one thing. A lot of times people know, like, those are publicized release dates and stuff. If you're not an insider, air quotes, you probably don't know when figures come out. So even if you know what they are, you're like, oh, these are cool. I'm going to throw these on the shelf. So
Yeah, and a lot of the figures that are associated with like a new movie, like when Rogue One or, Episode 7 came out, they always seal the boxes with tape that says, do not open before this date.
right.
But with stuff like this, where it's, not necessarily tied to being like a spoiler or for marketing a certain movie, they don't do that. So if they happen to get it early, there's no real
they just throw it out
consequence.
there. Yeah, right. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like you said, when back in the day I used to be a lot more into collecting. I do very little now. Honestly, what I do for the most part is every time a movie comes out, I pick a character and I get 2 or 3 things from that character, and then I'm kind of done. And I always pick horribly too. Well, not always, but I picked I started this with episode 3 and I did General Grievous, who turned out to be kind of a dud, but whatever. And then I picked
He still
Phasma.
looks cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's all based 100% on aesthetics.
Right.
So I picked Phasma and she was a dud, but then I picked K2 and he's awesome. So third time's a charm, I guess.
That's right.
So what are your tips and tricks, Matt? Like, what would you say is, like your secret to all your collecting?
Having lots of friends that also collect is a good thing to have. I have a friend who lives in the same town, but he visits his family about an hour and a half away, and he hits all the Toys R Us and Walmarts and Targets on the way there and back. So, he'll send me pictures like, hey, you got this guy yet? Or, hey, do you have this guy yet? And I do the same thing for him whenever I'm traveling. But yeah, that's a real good thing. Making friends online. There's tons of collecting websites, and Instagram's getting really popular for that sort of thing. There are people that solely sell toys through their Instagram account. So you can buy and sell on Instagram. You can find stuff, on rebelscum.com. They have lots of information there, and they have a forum where you can like interact with other people. I think that's the main thing when you're trying to complete a set or find that hard figure. Or if you have, for instance, like I didn't go to Celebration this year and they had a Celebration exclusive. Unfortunately, none of my friends went, but when I went to Celebration 3, I ended up buying the exclusive figure for some of my friends at that time. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have one because of you.
Yep, you were one of them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's still in a box. That's my collecting in a nutshell. I'm like, I have it somewhere. It's not even prominently displayed or anything.
That's okay. A lot of
mean-
mine are still somewhere in a box also because I don't have enough space to display
Well,
them all.
yeah. Do you have like how does that work when you have finite space? Do you pick like something new comes out and then you find the lowest man on the totem pole and you're like, sorry, buddy, you gotta go back. The new guy's gotta have space to be displayed, or how does that work?
That's pretty much, yeah. It's kind of like a constant rotation of characters. I have a lot of stuff from IKEA, some real nice bookshelves, and the Detolf, which in the collector world, a lot of people know it's the big, tall glass display case.
So
I have some of
collectors
those.
also collect IKEA stuff.
Well, maybe.
This is my Swedish collection.
It's sweet-ish.
Oh, jeez. Isn't that my job to make horrible jokes?
I guess I'm trying to take a turn. I don't know.
I feel like I'm being pushed out. Okay, anyway. So as far as your Star Wars collection, what would you say is your single favorite item?
Actually, we were just talking about it. I would say my favorite one I ever had purchased so far is that Celebration 3 Darth Vader figure.
Cool.
Mainly because, I mean, you can go online and buy it for, I don't know, like $50 maybe now. So it's not like it's super rare or desirable anymore. But I went there with my friends and we waited in line for like 8 hours to buy that figure. And it's still cool. It has some like voice recordings of James Earl Jones that he did specifically for the figure. So he says, like, welcome to Star Wars Celebration 3. Never will you find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Nice.
So, I don't know. It may not be like the rarest thing, but it was, it's got sentimental value.
There you go. And that means more, I think, than anything else, honestly. And I mean,
definitely.
If you're not going to sell it, what's it really worth, monetarily? On that token, though, what is the thing you have that's worth the most? Or do you even know? Is that something you keep track of or no?
Oh, not really. I don't know. I don't know exactly how much they're all worth once I get them, because once I've got it, I don't really check anymore.
Right, yeah, because you have no intention of selling it. That's
exactly.
I always went through the same thing when I used to collect baseball cards and, any kind of sports cards when I was like junior high age. And it was always the same thing. We had I think it was called Beckett or something. It was a publication that would give you values for your cards. And I don't know, maybe I was ahead of my time, smarter than everyone else, something like that. Something self-serving. Anyway. But I always was like, well, it's not worth anything unless you can find someone to buy it. It doesn't matter what a book tells you it's worth. Like,
right.
If the only dude around says, I'll give you $20 for it, but the book says 40, what are you going to do? Like, it's either worth $20 or you keep it. So
exactly.
That kind of stuff never really.
I also open all my figures, which I know a lot of collectors would be gasping right now, but
they probably are. Some people probably just crashed their cars.
Exactly.
Like, he opens.
But like I said, I collect them for myself, not to sell them. So
right.
I need to let those boys out to breathe.
That's right. They're real or something. They're really cool.
Do you still keep the boxes though? Do you ever?
I do. For the older like 3 3/4 figures, I would actually keep the card backs, but I'd get rid of the little plastic shell. But what's nice about the new Black Series figures is they come in a box, and all you have to do is cut the little piece of tape. So I keep all of those boxes just in case. I also the box art's awesome for a lot of that stuff, and especially
That's
those
true.
new 40th anniversary figures. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but
the
they're
carded
all
ones.
Yeah, they're all the
Yeah.
retro Kenner card backs, but just really big to hold the 6-inch figures.
Yeah, I saw it was somewhere on Celebration. It was like a reissue of some old playset. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, they pulled it out and it was like a gigantic card back. It was funny. That was a bad story because it had no point. But anyway, the point is giant card backs are cool.
Yeah. Well, Gentle Giant also does the...
that's who it was, I think.
Yeah, the original Kenner figures where they actually scan the original figure and then blow it up so that they're 12 inches tall and then put them on an even bigger card back.
Yes, I think that's exactly who it was now that you see. You bailed me out there. Thank you.
There you go. I actually have the rocket-firing Boba Fett, the
Nice.
Gentle Giant. So it's a big 12-inch rocket-firing Boba Fett.
That's pretty rad. So what would you say your dream item is? If money wasn't an object and you could find it, etc. What is the one thing that you don't have that you wish you did have?
If money wasn't an object, I would probably start buying all these beautiful Hot Toys 12-inch Star Wars figures.
Yeah, those things are sweet.
Because those, they're very nice looking, but also very expensive. Sideshow also makes a lot of really nice statues. There's one of Yoda fighting a 501st Trooper from Episode 3, where he throws the lightsaber and it sticks in him, and he jumps up and pulls it out. There's a statue
scene
of that.
Are they the ones that do the concept art Boba Fett where he's all white, or is that somebody else? Or am I making that up completely?
No, they've done that. They've done that in a lot of stuff. They have a pop figure of that. They have a Black Series 6-inch of him. They do have a 12-inch of that as well.
Okay, I think that's what I was thinking was the 12-inch specifically. But that's a cool design. I kind of like that concept arty stuff. I don't know.
They've done a lot of the 3 3/4 ones from Macquarie's concept art, and they've done some statues as well, like of Darth Vader, and I think it's either come out or it's coming out soon, one of Han Solo where he's got the lightsaber.
Oh yeah, where he looks like a space cowboy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool look. It'd be neat if they made Woody Harrelson's character in the Han Solo movie look like that,
Oh man, that would be awesome.
right? I mean, San's lightsaber, obviously, but
Right.
the costume.
So, Matt, what do you think is the least collectible Star Wars merchandise?
Well, for me, probably a lot of the stuff that are either aimed towards kids specifically, or stuff that's kind of mishmash, like when they have Star Wars Hot Wheels, and it's just a car that kind of looks like Darth Vader. That's not really interesting to me. But then I know whenever Hasbro kind of split the way they did their figures, that used to be they just had 3 3/4 action figures, and they did some 12-inch action figures. But then when they came out with these Black Series, their whole idea was making a cheaper version for kids, so kids could play with them and they could take a little bit more abuse and they wouldn't cost as much, and then make a nicer figure that was a little higher price point for the collectors, so that they actually were, instead of just making one Star Wars figure and having both people have to deal with it and kids not being able to find a Luke Skywalker figure because all of us old guys are buying them before them.
Busting through the door and knocking kids over and filling your cart with them.
Exactly.
So you can go put them on eBay.
I think it's so fun to look at the toy aisle and see who's there and who's who.
Oh, yeah. Whenever Rogue One, those figures came out, I remember rushing to Target at lunch from work just to see. There was a couple that I wasn't able to get at midnight, and I went over there, and there was another guy in the aisle, and he just had, holding them like a child, 12 of them. And I just looked at him, and he was like, "Who are you looking for?"
See, it's cool. You can bond like that.
Yeah.
I've talked to, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 different people in different toy stores, and I don't really do it that much. Like I said, I'm not a huge collector. Half the time I go and just look, and then if I see someone I haven't seen, I'll even text you and be like, "Dude, do you have this guy?"
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's kind of inconvenient because we're on the opposite ends of the country, but still, we've
Yeah,
done
I've
we've
done
made
that
it work.
too.
Yeah.
You have me doing it now.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you have this?
Yeah.
Do you
And,
have? Do you want it?
Yeah. See, that's almost the thing for me. Like you were saying before, it's almost like collecting versus buying. The hunt is fun for me too. I like to go and look, but then I don't like, "Oh, that's really rad," and then I put it back. I don't even buy it. But yeah, that wouldn't be fun to me. Just to okay, these are all coming out, pre-order. Okay, I got them all. Okay, well, all right.
Yeah, not my thing.
Word.
So you mentioned Star Wars Hot Wheels. What else are you kind of turned away from?
They also make those, the 12-inch, I think they're called Titan Heroes. They do it for Marvel as well, where they're just kind of the 12-inch figures with their arms straight down, and they just have the 4 points of articulation where their arms and their legs just kind of go up and down. And they're like $10 for this giant figure that they look okay, but I mean they're meant for kids, and they're not super high quality, and the paint application's not great. So that kind of stuff. And then the 3 3/4 figures that they similarly, where they have low articulation and the paint isn't as great, and they have the Darth Vader with Mega Blaster, and he comes with a big backpack with a rocket on it and stuff.
I think it was Phasma. I got the little Phasma because that's the one I saw first, and like I said, I was Phasma crazy. And
Right.
She came with something, and then sometimes they come with pieces that you can put together, and it makes something that has nothing to do with anything, and it's just some odd, here, collect them all, and then you can make this dumb thing.
Right. So they're trying to get those kids that like Pokemon, so they can.
Yeah, gotta catch them all.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff. I mean, and that's Hasbro doing a good job though, because instead of everybody trying to collect the same thing, they're making things for kids and then also making things for collectors.
Right, yeah, it's getting into all markets and demographic.
Right.
There's also what we talked about earlier with Shelby. You have Star Wars basically is in everything. They made makeup, which I thought was actually kind of cool. I mean, obviously I don't wear makeup. Well, not obviously, but I'm telling you I don't wear makeup.
Yeah.
I have, but that's a whole different story.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that's neat. Some people think it's sort of exploitive. We're just going to put Star Wars on everything and people will buy it. But I think it gives people that may not be into collecting, like Shelby, for example, something to go after.
Right. Because, I'm not one of those people that I don't like a lot of stuff. So having something that is consumable in a way, whether it be like, here's, Star Wars SpaghettiOs or something like that.
Which I think they do have.
I'm sure they do. But the makeup was kind of interesting to me because it's like, okay, it has a use. And also it's like, ooh, I can have Stormtrooper white nail polish. How about that? Like, and then it's neat. It's like, oh, then I can, I can use it, and then I can save the bottle and remember getting it. I remember going to like 3 or 4 different Rite Aids to find a specific lipstick.
Oh yeah, huh? Because for whatever reason, it was only at Rite Aid. Is that right?
It was at Rite Aid and Walmart. And Walmart, like, I think they sold all of it and then never got another.
Yeah, they had the little
promotional stuff there for
it was
over
all
a year.
empty. Yeah,
it was weird.
And then they filled it up with like something. It was not even right. It wasn't even the right brand. I don't think.
No, it wasn't, because it was with CoverGirl. But I thought it was good. I mean, was it quality makeup that I usually would buy? No. Did it get me to buy CoverGirl when I wouldn't? Yeah. But I just thought it was really neat, and the packaging was pretty cool, because I know like all the different mascaras had different quotes on them. So I would go and check each of those to see if I already had them or not.
That's pretty awesome.
I know, right? It's little. There's 2 ways of thinking about it, like I said. But I mean, if people are willing to buy it, why not make it? It's not hurting anybody. It's capitalism, dog.
Right.
It's life. So, say someone decides today to start a Star Wars collection. What advice would you give them, Matthew?
I think the 2 most important things are to have fun, obviously, like we've been talking about, but collect what you like. So don't worry about, what something's worth or how much you're going to be able to sell it for later. If you're going to get into collecting, just decide what you want to get and go after that. Don't worry about what other people are collecting either. So just like you said, you collect, a specific character.
Right.
And when if you displayed all that stuff together, it would look cool, because it'd be all kinds of different variations of, Captain Phasma. I have a lot of Black Series figures. That's my big thing right now, is the 6-inch Black Series. So when I have them all standing up and they're all to scale with each other, I think that looks cool. And if you're thinking about going for the more expensive stuff, like the Hot Toys or like some statues, definitely do your research, because there are a lot of scammers out there that are just trying to get your money, and you don't want to buy a knockoff or something that's broken, or buy it from an untrustworthy seller.
So knockoffs actually exist? There are like knockoffs of the higher end collectibles?
Oh, definitely. And Black Series especially. If you go on eBay, there are like hundreds of listings for like the Darth Maul and the original R2 and like Boba Fett, where they're asking like $40, which is more than you should pay for retail, but less than what he's going for on like eBay. So people go, oh, this is a great deal, and they just buy it, and it's actually just a knockoff that someone in China took it apart and made a mold of the figure and then recast it themselves. And some of them don't look terrible, but they're not official figures.
Right, so it's technically not collectible, really.
Exactly. And I mean, you're just hurting the market if you're, bringing that stuff to the States and letting it in with everything else. And also, like, if you're going for the more vintage stuff, like the Kenner figures, there are so many variations of those, as far as like the different card backs, the different times the characters came out, like the Sand Person, for instance, the Tusken Raider.
Mm-hmm.
They made that figure for Episode 4, but they never made a new mold for it. So even when they sold it as a Return of the Jedi figure, it still had the date from A New Hope stamped on it.
Huh.
So the only way to tell a difference is the actual color of the paint on his like gloves.
Wow, that's intense.
So like the Episode 4 when he had like black gloves, and then there's some other ones that have dark brown, and there's some other ones that have tan gloves. So, just doing a little bit of research like that, you can figure out like, oh, this one's actually more collectible because they didn't make as many of this one.
Right. Yeah. You get into things like, and then you have like the error cards and stuff, or the really limited release, mostly because it was an accident type stuff.
Yeah. And they do have like they call the triple logo, where they have it in the Star Wars logo in 3 languages.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out there. So just, spend a little time and do your research before you pull your wallet out.
What would you say the best entry point is? Probably the Hasbro stuff because it's the most like accessible.
Oh, definitely, because they have Black Series figures everywhere. I mean, you can go to, they have Walgreens exclusive Black Series figures now.
Walgreens, really?
Yeah, they had what was the most recent one? They had a C-3PO with like the silver on him.
The silver leg.
Yeah, and then they had a Emperor's Wrath Darth Vader where his head was actually clear. So it's like he's being electrocuted from Return of the Jedi.
Got you. Huh, I did not know Walgreens was in the action figure market.
They're actually getting they have Walgreens exclusive Pop figures and Marvel Legends exclusive figures. They're getting a lot of exclusives recently.
Huh, that's weird. I guess whatever gets people in the door, man.
Yeah.
Because especially in that, there's so many drugstores. And almost every grocery store has a drugstore in it too. So, like Walmart has a drugstore too. So I guess...
It's the only reason I go to Walgreens.
Yeah, have we been to a Walgreens?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, at one time, but not for years. But yeah. All right, so I think we're about at time, yeah?
Yeah, we are.
Rock and roll. Well, Matt, thanks for coming on and spewing your knowledge at our faces.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, and fun fact for anyone out there listening, our new logo was designed by Matt.
That's true.
So it's pretty rockin'.
Yeah, Matt is the maker of the logo.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're looking to get your own logo or something, Matt, what's your website?
It's livinswell.com, livinswell.com.
Yeah, so he does graphic art stuff,
design,
and you do some web design too, but you don't really like it, I don't think, do you?
I do a little bit of everything. Mostly identity and print design, but I also do web design.
Cool.
Awesome.
And there you have it, guys.
Thanks so much, Matt.
Go buy
Thanks
a
for
lot
having
of
me.
toys to everyone, and push kids over when you're getting them, and do other mean things.
Okay.
Don't really do that.
But not really.
But
Yeah,
not
no.
really. Be nice.
No, if there's a kid there and you're holding the toy he wants, give it to him, for God's sake.
Definitely.
Yeah, Star Wars is for kids. We learned this. George said so. Let
All
it be
right.
gospel.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Yeah, peace out. Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, I'd like to talk about Star Wars and something else I like?
Well, now you can. Our new Blastcast, Rapid Fire Fandom Fridays, gives you a platform to discuss Star Wars and whatever distracts you from Star Wars that you probably moderately enjoy. Things like Rick and Morty, hockey, romance novels, or even building dioramas using smartly dressed dead mice.
The interviews are around 5 minutes and include questions like, if you could take one person from blank and put them in a Star Wars film show, who would it be and where would you put them?
If you are now saying, wow, this sounds like the answer to all my hopes and dreams, send us a DM on Twitter today to @hyperspace_pod or an email to hyperspacepodblast@gmail.com.
We look forward to hearing from you!